move on. We've got some more content to bring you guys surrounding Mateus Fernandes. We are going to be delving deep into the stats. You know, Sim loves a bit of stats. So let's get into it. What stats you got for me, Sim?
So, obviously, the big question is, who is this Mateus Fernandes guy? Why have we gone for 85 million for a player who's just been relegated twice, who's now in the Championship?
Not anymore.
He's only 21 years of age. Why is he so sought after? What is he good at? What is he not good at? And is he the kind of midfielder we need? Why have we made such an outlay? What are his strengths? And I've been looking at a lot of his stats in terms of like where he like ranks in the Premier League. And obviously we need someone who's really good on the ball, who's really technical, ability to be press resistant under pressure, all that kind of stuff, right? So you can see with Fernandes, with some of the stats, successful switches of play, he ranks in the top 10 in the whole Premier League. Progressive carries, ranks in the top 10. Successful passes from the centre of the pitch, ranks in the top 15. Fouls drawn, ranks in the top 15. So these are like some selected stats you can see. Like, this is, by the way, playing for a team like West Ham who don't have a lot of possession. They're always playing counter-attack. They're always playing transitional, reactive kind of football. So the fact that he's so high in a lot of those metrics, I think, tells a bit of a story. Obviously, when it comes to progressive passes and stuff, he's not as high as you would probably like. But I think, again, you look at who's at the top of those lists. It's players for Man City and Arsenal and, teams who have lots of the ball, right? So it's unlikely you're going to get that those stats as high as you'd like them unless you're playing for a very, very attacking team. So, but what he does show is even though he plays for a team like West Ham, he's still got some really top statistics on the ball, which, I think switches of play is a really crucial one, because when you're breaking down a low block, you need that ability to switch play very quickly and very accurately to open up the space and get the defence to shuffle on. So I think those are all really positive things we've seen from Mateus Fernandes. And I think when you think about how he plays on the eye test, that doesn't surprise you. The way he carries the ball, he's able to wriggle out of situations. What's called the thing that's quite interesting is successful passes from the centre of the pitch, which means he's picking up the ball in deeper areas and able, to find lots of passes to teammates in a team which isn't possession based. So imagine you get him in a Spurs team when he's going to have tons of options and lots of ability to play around. I think that's really, really interesting. So I think those stats, when it comes to some of his on-the-ball stuff, considering he plays for West Ham, is really interesting. But I think what's even more interesting is his off-the-ball stats as well, and where he ranks. Because, obviously we want a technician. We want someone who's really much better on the ball, but he can't be a liability, can he? We can't be a player who just does his stuff on the ball, and doesn't do his job on the ball. And the question is, does Fernandes do all of that stuff? And it's a resounding yes, he does. In the Premier League last season, top 10 for tackles in the whole Premier League, top 10 for regains, top 10 for regains in his own box, top 10 for ground duels, top 10 as well for possession won in the final third. So he's getting around the pitch and making lots of tackles. He's in the top 10 for the amount of ground duels as well, so he's very combative. Like he puts himself about and gets involved in lots of duels. Top 10 for regains in his own box, so he's willing to drop in and help out the defence in the last line. And he's also top 10 for possession won in the final third, so he's also for possessions won in the final third, so he's also pressing high. So this guy is basically all over the pitch. And not only is he all over the pitch, he's effective all over the pitch. So when you're looking at why have Tottenham spent 85 million, this is because this guy can do it all. And he can do it all.
Is there anything that he's actually performing lower? Because you've literally named like every aspect of what you need to be a midfielder.
I guess what he's learning, what he performs low at is he can be a bit inefficient. So his possession loss are quite high because he's always maybe looking to play the ball forward a lot, and he's always.
I think you could say the same about like Bruno Fernandes, right? He loses the ball.
Yeah, but he's not a 10. So I guess you know he's losing. Is he losing it in key areas? Is that the problem? So, yeah. So what I would say is. This guy, and from all I've said, he's only 21. So you get him under De Zerbi, you get him into a possession-based system, you get him, with more options on the pitch, you get him with more help as well from players around him, and I think this guy's the complete midfielder, and I think that a lot of people wondering why have we, is this guy all that? Well, the stats suggest he's basically great at everything.
Yeah, and the tweet from Tom Allnut, I think it was, is that the plan is, to have him at the base of the midfield, so basically the 6, have him in the 6 role, and if he's that good off the ball and can do those switches of play, and he still has the on the ball stuff, and he can also be press resistant, and what I watched from him yesterday, I just think his ability to hold on to the ball in really crazy situations was just smacking out of the screen at me. This is the guy that we've been searching for in terms of the number 6 all these years.
Yeah, is he a 6? I think he can be a bit of a hybrid 6 and 8 kind of player. But my point being for him is
he'll be deeper
than Tonali.
Tonali.
Yeah,
so he will be the 6,
which is mad to think like he's. I don't know to think about. I think when you've got De Zerbi, he plays so fluidly, doesn't he, with different players picking up different things. So I think him and Tonali will take it in turns. But if you're looking at it in kind of in the terms of where you will see them generally, if you look at his heat map this season is basically just the whole centre just covered. It's like everywhere. It's insane. But I think I would say him and Tonali, if we can get Tonali, they both have the energy to just really cover so much ground, suffocate the opposition, get forward and get back as well. They got unbelievable stamina. And I think the thing is Fernandes is, I think the most important thing to understand with him is not only is he brilliant technically and he's a fantastic ball carrier and he's a really good switcher of play. Obviously, I think maybe progressive passes, we'll have to wait and see when he gets into a better team how good he is. But with that, I think the eye test suggests he could still do a really good job there. But he is not a liability on the ball as well, and he's actually, not only is he not a liability, he actually excels in those defensive metrics as well. He's got unbelievable amount of energy. He gets around the pitch incredibly, and he was not even that far away from Paulinho when it comes to tackles and stuff like that. And then the ground duels, he's really hard up on the pitch. So you've got a player there who's potentially the perfect midfielder, and that's why he's so highly sought after. And I think that's why Spurs have just made sure we got to get this guy over the line hook or by crook, because on the face of it, is it an overpayment right now? Yes, but that is a potentially over £100 million midfielder right there, ready and waiting. If we can get that out of him, and bam, I think looking at the stats, it really tells the story of why we have decided to put the money down on the table for him.
I am actually so excited for Mateus Fernandes. I'm actually more excited. I know Sandro Tonali is a bigger name, and fans are probably going to be more excited about him. But I think I'm actually more excited about Mateus Fernandes than I am about Sandro Tonali. And having them two play together is just mouthwatering, isn't it?
I know. It's just incredible. I think what both of them can do. I think both of them can do it all. To be honest, I think both of them are really strong in all aspects. But I think the thing is for Fernandes, he's so young, and he's been playing. Remember, all of what I've been saying, he's been doing for 2 sides that got relegated. So imagine, hopefully we're not in a relegation battle again next season. Imagine putting him in a functioning team, which we're all hoping we are going to be next season. You put him in that, and I think the theory is how much more he could improve so quickly. Could he become? He's already performing as in the metrics some of the best in the league. But imagine you put him in a functioning team. All of a sudden,
going to take his game up.
Yeah, all of a sudden, could he become one of the best in the Premier League very quickly?
I think he can.
I think that's what people are thinking.
I think he can. And I think he's not seen in the same light in terms of stature. I'm not talking about game style or anything like that as Elliot Anderson. But I think people will start thinking about Fernandes maybe at the end of the next season, what they thought about Anderson at the end of this season.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think I think a lot of people, your judgment can be clouded when you're watching a game and you're watching a West Ham regularly and they get losing every week. It's easy to think all these players are rubbish. All these players aren't worth anything. But if you actually watch him closely, this guy was always different gravy to all the other players on that West Ham team.
Every time I watch West Ham play, we did those watch-alongs, and even before that, I kept looking at Fernandes and be like, this guy is top. He's top stuff, man. And Ben Jacobs was actually the first one to call this, wasn't he? We were watching him on Last Word on Spurs, and he said Spurs are going to go in for Mateus Fernandes, 70, 80 million. He's the one that broke this story, actually. And then David Ornstein came in a couple of weeks later. And we were thinking, there is no chance we're going to spend this kind of money on this player. But I'm so happy we've done it, because we say these words a lot in terms of when Spurs sign someone, but he is going to change a lot about this Spurs midfield, and he's going to revolutionise the way, the makeup of our midfield. He really is.
Absolutely. And he gives us something different while also maintaining what we need in the middle, which is can't be a liability. And I think it's important for all the people who don't know much about him to understand this guy is not just like a flashy centre mid who walks around and doesn't put in the hard graft. He not only he excels at the defensive stuff. It's like we're getting like a player close defensively to Paulinho, and yet he's also incredible on the ball. So I think for sure this deal for Fernandes kills Tonali coming back. Kills Paulinho coming back for sure.
Absolutely. So those are the stats behind Mateus Fernandes. It's time to get excited, people, if you haven't already. But